A small-time con artist with a mental problem is kidnapping a baby. Why? Let's read Blaze and find out. Welcome back to BG's Books. I'm Mr. BG, and today I'll be reviewing Blaze by Richard Bachman, also known as Stephen King. So finally, I can finally announce that this is my final Richard Bachman book. Hooray! I know, it's incredible. This journey's been so long. I started it back in February, or I guess even January of 2024 with Rage. And now, in November of 2025, I've officially finished the 7th and final Bachman book that Stephen King has released, Blaze. And so basically, if you didn't know, Blaze is another one of those trunk novels that he said that Richard Bachman wrote. Basically, it's one that he wrote back in the 70s, but didn't really, he wasn't really able to publish it throughout, the 70s or the 80s or the 90s or whatever. And so in 2007, he was able to get it published under the Richard Bachman pseudonym. And he was just like, yeah, let's put it on as a Bachman book. I think we can do one more thing. So yeah, it was released in 2007, and people actually really like this one. This one is very favored by a lot of people. They will say it's either their second or their first favorite Bachman book, depending on who you ask. You'll get to my thoughts on it in just a second. But anyway, yeah, Blaze is the final Bachman book. And basically it follows, well, I guess I should say it's kind of Stephen King's version of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck, which of course I have reviewed just a couple months before because I thought I was going to get into Blaze right after that, and then of course that didn't happen. So anyway, here I am now reviewing Blaze. But anyway, similar to Of Mice and Men, it follows a big, giant guy who is nicer than he appears to be, but he also has a bit of a mental problem because of something that happened to him. And so that's about all the similarities they have. I was expecting more similarities the way that it's been talked about, like saying Of Mice and Men, like Stephen King's version of it. It doesn't have that. All it is just really the big guy with a mental problem, and that's about it. But so yeah, those two books could not be more apart in terms of actual plots. But anyway, in order to explain what Blaze is actually about, let's get right into the plot. So this very short Bachman novel, of course, follows Blaze, also known as Clayton Blaisdell Jr., shortened to Blaze, which explains the title of the book. And basically, he's this small-time con man who a couple months ago has worked with this guy named George Rackley, who was kind of the brains behind the operation. But George was violently killed after I think a card game gone wrong. And so Blaze has kind of been on his own. But George lives on in Blaze's head through talking to him in his mind and stuff. So George may be physically gone, but his voice is still there guiding Blaze because he says that Blaze is too stupid to do anything. And so basically, Blaze's whole thing is that when he was a child, he had a very abusive father who put a dent in his forehead, so that's why he's stupid like he is now. That's where his mental problems come from. And then over a while, he eventually moved to this orphanage called Hetton House because his father was too abusive. And then he kind of grew up there for a while, made some friends, eventually got out, got in trouble, went to jail and stuff. So he's been kind of acting up his entire life. And that was when, of course, he met George, and then they had their adventures, and then George died, which leads us to now. That actually takes place over the course of the entire book. Every second or third chapter is just Blaze's backstory, which I'll get to that later. But so anyway, before George died, they had made plans to kidnap the son of Joseph Gerard III. Yeah, they're going to kidnap a 6-month-old child. That's That's a little heavy, but okay. Anyway, so George basically told Blaze this entire plan, and since he's, dead now, he can't help Blaze anymore, but Blaze remembers exactly what George has said, also with the voices that's telling him to. So basically, he sneaks into the Gerard home and steals the baby lickety split. No problems there. And then, of course, the next morning, like, the police are notified and everything because, this is like a rich family. Stuff gets around fast. And so now Blaze, who is, this is January, by the way, so there's like major snow in Maine. This also takes place in Maine. So now Blaze has to take care of this infant child in the snow of Maine. While meanwhile, the police are hunting him down. So, there's that. Anyway, so stuff just kind of happens. The police work to track him down, which is easier than you might think, because Blaze kind of went to the store and bought specific baby stuff to take care of the infant, because he's going to take care of him for like a little bit of time. We don't know why that he wants to kidnap the child, other than the fact that George wanted to. So we don't know why George wanted to kidnap the child. He just did. So there's that. Anyway, long story short, Blaze realizes that the police are onto him, and so basically he gives the Gerard's demands to like drop down a certain amount of money, like at his house or whatever, and he'll get it and whatever. But so yeah, towards the end of the book, of course, he's found out. He's running away from the police, and the police basically shoot him dead. He's buried, and then Joe Gerard IV is returned to his family once again. But that is how Blaze ends. So, as I said at the beginning of the video, people really seem to like Blaze. It's either their second or their first favorite Bachman book, depending on who you ask. Me, it's not quite that high, and I'll get to why I think like that. Because Blaze doesn't really have a lot going on for it. For the most part, it's just planning to get the child, and then about halfway through, he does get the child, and then for the other half, it kind of explores more of his upbringing, and then him with the child, leading to his demise. So yeah, there's not really a lot of stuff to go over with Blaze. It's kind of a very straightforward story. But honestly, the thing that really bothered me about Blaze was that it constantly switched back between the current day moments and his backstory. And I get that we got to get his backstory somewhere, but it's like every second or third chapter. It's like, and also some of the backstory chapters are just really long. It's like, I think the two longest chapters the entire book were just his backstory, which, I mean, I appreciate getting backstory for this guy, but since this plot is really around him having a child that he abducted and the police are trying to look for it, I kind of want to get back to the current plot like sooner. So yeah, my major problem was just really that about half or maybe even more than half of the book was just Blaze's backstory, which, while I get it needs to happen, it was a little too much of it. I would have liked to do a lot less of that and a lot more of the current story, but that's like my major problem with it. The book is just fine overall. It's not like boring or anything, but it's not like as interesting as, like, I would say Rage or The Long Walk are. Those are my two favorite Bachmans, by the way. But yeah, so I mean, Blaze is just perfectly fine. I'd say it's probably in the middle of the pack. It's better than The Regulators, but it's not as good as Thinner, if that makes any sense. I don't know. I want to do like a whole ranking of this. I still need to figure that out for the most part. Well, I have most of it figured out for the most part, but I still need to figure some things out. So yeah, anyway, Blaze, like the middle of the Bachman pack for me. It was just fine. It's not groundbreaking like a lot of people say it is. It's just kind of Mice and Men, but different. And so yeah, those are really my thoughts on it. So yeah, go read Blaze if you want to, but also you don't have to if you don't want to. So there you go. But yeah, guys, that is it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed my review for Blaze. I'm sorry that I didn't have a lot more to say about it, but as I said, the plot was just very straightforward, and the book itself is very short, so there wasn't really a lot to go over. But yeah, anyway, as I said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below if you have not already. I'm getting very close to 300 subscribers, like very close. So please press that subscribe button, get me to 300 subscribers. I will be very grateful. But anyway, so yeah, of course, that was the final Bachman book. Stay tuned, where I will not only rank these 7 Bachman books and then tell you how I feel about each of them, but also stay tuned for another video where I will discuss Richard Bachman as a whole, like who he is, what his backstory is, his relation to Stephen King, all that stuff. But of course, even though I finished the Bachman books, there's still one more book that I need to do to finish out the entire Bachman series, and that is The Dark Half by Stephen King, because, you know, it's about pseudonyms. But anyway, yeah, as I said, I love you guys. Thanks for watching the videos. Thank you so much for watching the video. I really appreciate it. But yeah, as always, I've been Mr. BG. This has been BG's Books, and I will see you guys in the next video.